Come along in and have some lunch, he said diplomatically, and we'll talk it over. We needn't decide anything in a hurry. Of course I don't really care. I only want to give pleasure to you fellows. Live for others. That's my motto in life. During luncheon, which was excellent of course, as everything at Toad Hall always was, the toad simply let himself go, disregarding the rat. He proceeded to play upon the inexperienced mole as on a harp, naturally a voluble animal, and always mastered by his imagination. He painted the prospect of the trip and the joys of the open life and the roadside in such glowing colours that Mole could hardly sit in his chair for excitement. Somehow it soon seemed taken for granted by all three of them that the trip was a settled thing, and the rat, though still unconvinced in his mind, allowed his good nature to override his personal objections. He could not bear to disappoint his two friends, who were already in schemes and anticipations, planning out each day's separate occupation for several weeks ahead. When they were quite ready, the now triumphant Toad led his companions to the paddock and set them to capture the old grey horse, who, without having been consulted and to his own extreme annoyance, had been told off by Toad for the dustiest job in the dustiest expedition. He frankly preferred the paddock and took a deal of catching. Meantime, Toad packed the lockers still tighter with necessities, and hung nosebags, nets of onions, bundles of hay and baskets from the bottom of the cart. At last the horse was caught and harnessed, and they set off, all talking at once, each animal either trudging by the side of the cart or sitting on the shaft as the humour took him. It was a golden afternoon. The smell of the dust they kicked up was rich and satisfying, out of thick orchards on the other side of the road. Birds called and whistled to them cheerily. The good-natured wayfarers passing them gave them good day, or stopped to say nice things about their beautiful cart, and the rabbits sitting on their front doors in the hedgerows held up their forepaws and said, "Oh my, oh my, oh my." Late in the evening, tired and happy and miles from home, they drew up on a remote common, far from habitations, turned the horse loose to gaze, and ate their simple supper sitting on the grass by the side of the cart. Toad talked big about all he was going to do in the days to come, while stars grew fuller and larger all around them, and a yellow moon appearing suddenly and silently from nowhere in particular, came to keep them company and listen to their talk. At last they turned into their little bunks in the cart, and Toad, kicking out his legs, sleepily said, "Well, good night, you fellows. This is the real life for a gentleman. Talk about your old river." "I don't talk about my river," replied the patient rat. "You know I don't, Toad, but I think about it," he added pathetically in a lower tone. "I think about it all the time." The mole reached out from under his blanket, felt the rat's paw in the darkness and gave it a squeeze. "I'll do whatever you like, Ratty," he whispered. "Shall we run away tomorrow morning, quite early, very early, and go back to our dear old hole in the river?" "No, no, we'll see it out," whispered back the rat. "Thanks awfully, but I ought to stick by Toad till his trip is ended. It wouldn't be safe for him to be left by himself. It won't take very long. His fads never do. Good night." The end was indeed nearer. Even the rat suspected it. After so much open air, the excitement, the Toad slept very soundly. No amount of shaking would rouse him out of bed in the morning. So the mole and the rat turned to, quietly and manfully, and while the rat saw to the horse and lit a fire, cleaned last night's cups and platters, and got things ready for breakfast, the mole trudged off to the nearest village, a long way off, for milk and eggs and various necessities the Toad had, of course, forgotten to provide. The hard work had all been done, and 2 animals were resting. Thoroughly exhausted by the time Toad appeared on the scene, fresh and gay, remarked, "What a pleasant life is." They were all leading now, after the cares and worries and fatigues of housekeeping at home.